The interview process, that is scary all in itself. So after you've written all the essays, after you've filled out the PT cast, after you've gotten your recommendation letters, and then you have to pay money to send your applications to the schools. Well, you've done all that, and then they ask you to come for an interview. So I had 3 interviews. I introduced myself, and there were about 3 or 4 other people, adults, that asked me questions, things like that. The other setting I was in, I walked into a room and there were 4 interviewees and then 4 faculty and staff in that room. And so that group setting was a little different. Basically, we went around the room and took turns answering the questions that the staff asked. When you go into a group setting, know that they're watching not only how you answer the question, but how you interact with your fellow peers. I want to see how you work well with others in a team setting, because that's what PT is.
Went to 3 or 4 interviews, and honestly the interviews were the best experience because they allowed me to see the kind of personality of each program, and they were all vastly different.
The deadlines are different, and so I missed some deadlines. I was going into applying fully expecting not getting in the first time. I got interviews at 2 places. They happened to be on the same day, so I couldn't go to one of them. So I went to the one that I wanted to go to more.
Really, I ended up at the school I'm at because what drew me to it the most was how connected everybody was. Because I went to another interview and it seemed a lot more kind of stiff and uptight, and just people weren't very laid back. They didn't seem like super friendly with each other. And then the program I decided to go to, everybody seemed really close and like they had fun together, and they had a good pass rate and everything, and then they were affiliated with a really good hospital, so that was really important too. I
wore a suit, and I did have colorful socks on. It would make me stand out enough subtly, but it wasn't like, I have a good way to be unique. Some people maybe, this is for guys, you can maybe have something on your lapel. Anything that could be a conversation starter, look good and feel confident in what you're wearing. So for guys, wear a suit that fits you right if you can, and wear it confidently. If it doesn't fit you right, wear it confidently. It doesn't matter. Just be confident.
I did not have a pantsuit. I didn't want to go buy one just for interviews. Wore a black ankle-length pants and a black blazer. Went to 2 different interviews. So one of them I just wore like a plain red shirt, and one of them I wore a blue shirt that had a pattern on it. But I kept my blazer on most of the time, so you couldn't really see my shirt. Obviously it was tucked in, and I wore a belt, and I wore black flats for comfort.
I like wearing pantsuits because I feel more confident, so really it depends on what makes you feel the most confident, but I wore a black jacket with a white blouse underneath and black pantsuits with small heels that were comfortable.
I wore black dress pants, a white shirt that was nicer, and kind of like a more casual style blazer. So it was kind of like business casual, but maybe on a little bit of the higher end. But I saw people that were more casual than me and more dressed up than me. So as long as you look professional, I think that's really what's important.
Some of my interview questions, that is important. Before going into the interview, I practiced. I got people to read questions to me out loud, and I had to think on the spot. I also came up with a list of questions I'm going to share with you guys. I had pretty much an idea on how I would answer these before even going into the interview. Okay, for example, they're going to ask you, why do you want to be a physical therapist? So have an answer, rehearse it. Why do you want to be a physical therapist? What, if you could go back in undergrad, what's one thing you could change? That was a good question. PT school is very rigorous. How do you know that you're going to be able to get through this program? What are ways that you study that you figured out that you can succeed? We introduced ourselves, we sat down, and we said, hey, tell me about yourself. Okay, so be quick, be brief, tell them a little bit about your history. They have your resume in front of them, so you don't want to read your resume to them. You want to tell them other things that the resume doesn't say.
I had friends ask me questions, like random questions, so I was able to kind of think on my feet and feel more comfortable with that, because you don't know what question you're going to get, and it really could be anything. So what I wanted was to be able to be comfortable with getting any question and just being able to answer it. So if you can have friends maybe come up with questions for you and just kind of grill you, I think that that's helpful. Really look at the APTA website, know kind of what they're talking about and what's important to them right now. And then other than that, really just be ready for anything, because you don't know what you're going to get.
But I got the basic interview questions that I had prepared for. Why do you want to do physical therapy? What is your strengths and weaknesses? So those kind of things that you expect. So definitely prepare for those and kind of have an idea of what you're going to say, practice them. One really weird one that I wasn't prepared for was I got asked if I thought physical therapy was an art or a science, which I thought was a really strange question because we're a science field. So I kind of tried to tactfully answer that. I didn't directly answer it. I think the idea behind the question was they wanted to see our way of thinking and if we could rationalize through a more abstract question. In the same interview, it was a group interview, and someone else got asked about their political views. So I think it was more of like, how are you going to react to this kind of question?
Why did you choose to apply to this school? You should do research before each interview. Make sure to know all about the school, their pass rates, their cohort size, things that are important to you as to why you want to go to that school. I did not get asked this, but it was on my list of questions that were stored in my head before going into the interview. What is your backup plan if you don't get into PT school? So that was a tricky question, but my answer for that was going to be something along the lines of, this is my backup plan. I want to get into PT school no matter how hard I have to work. So my backup plan is to reapply. I'm going to become a tech near home, save some money, and then reapply again next year. That is my backup plan because this is what I want to do.
The way I prepared for interview questions was actually asking people who were physical therapists and asking them and their experiences and what questions they were asked. I was actually interning at the time with the physical therapist and talked to her a lot about what she was asked and kind of things I should prepare for, and knowing that I did a little more research on the programs and the APTA specifically to kind of prepare for the interview. It's about some of the mistakes I've made, some of the regrets I've had, and specifically about the APTA Mission Statement 2020. And I would also recommend looking up the new mission statement for APTA in case you're asked about that.
What is your greatest weakness and what is your greatest strength? You want to say, yeah, I struggle here, but I'm getting better. I'm working on it.
One of them was being aware of what the mission statement, the vision statement is for the APTA, American Physical Therapy Association. And I would spend just time on that website and reading those things and reading all the pieces that are important to the profession. But also like read them, write them down, but write them down in your words. The question that I really liked was, what's an example of a situation where you were in disagreement with people, and how did that resolve itself?
I would make sure that you've looked into the school, you kind of know what they're about, maybe know their mission, their vision, whatever you can find out online or from talking to other students, and also have a lot of questions for them. You could jot these down and keep them with you and maybe ask more about their program or about their research, or really just anything so it shows that you've put in thought to that specific program.
It's a lot, but the number one recommendation I could give you is to practice. Practice, 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 because you can't control what they ask you, but the more you practice, the better you're going to be able to handle whatever questions they ask you. Basically, do anything that gets you thinking on your feet, talking about yourself. It's not always easy to do. I hope this video helped you guys. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's another video that I can do. I wish you guys the best of luck. You can do it. Know that it's short-lived, this whole process, and it's totally worth it.